Never trust a YouTuber with a lolly avatar because you can bet they will lead you in the wrong direction. Now, who am I talking about? revsaysdesu. revsaysdesu. A lot of people have made videos on this guy with points against him. Small commentary, right? Big commentary really doesn't do that, such as people like Boblax and Turkey Tom. Boblax at one point did. Turkey Tom just opted not to anymore, probably because he realized he has a shared audience with those degenerates, which is really funny if you think about how that whole pyro thing went. But, people are drawing Turkey Tom as a fucking lolly, so it's fair and safe to say that there's some crossover there. And it is what it is at the end of the day. Get your bag, do your business, and get out of YouTube. Don't make it your home by any means necessary, because that won't last very long. But back to our good friend revsaysdesu. Now, I know a lot of small commentary have talked about this guy. God knows Reb has an ego so big compared to his tiny, tiny dick. And he always seems to get upsetty spaghetti at the most irrelevant people. Like there was a 100 subscriber channel that critiqued him, and Reb got a little bit of a hissy fit. More of a hissy fit than his fat girlfriend or wife whenever they criticize her being a bad VTuber and whatnot. It's actually really, really hilarious. Most recently, other than defending Lolly over and over and over again, Reb has taken to backstabbing Nuxtaku, as you guys have seen. And he was under the guise of, I am the true pedophile activist, basically. Which Nux was like, pedophilia bad? So, but the thing with the anime community, and they're always so touchy, that I've realized they've transitioned to a very PC base, which is one of the many reasons I left it, because everything is so fucking emotional based, and it makes sense, because anime in itself is just based off of like high levels of emotion. A lot of misguided neets latch onto that imaginary world of friendship and Nakama and whatever the fuck there. It makes sense. But it makes sense as to why I would want to distance from that. I don't really want to grift people like that, at least not at this point in time. I understand why people do it, but it's not really for me. As for why Reb does it, other than the fact that he's an emotional woman as well, it's probably because he realized there's good money and numbers out of it. See, here's the thing that I found out about Reb. He's very good at flagging people. He is what we call a flaggot. And when you get him upset, he'll get the lolicons to flag you. Now, this is a typical thing that the lolicons do. Lolicons in anime typically end up doing that, which is very funny, And they'll also resort to certain weird, because they're not based in logic at all. So they'll go ahead and do their little strange gymnastics and strawman you. Like, for instance, they'll take a clip out of context. Like, for example, the Augie RFC versus Technicals debate. And they'll say that Augie is pro-pedophilia because he says that in a high school context, an 18-year-old senior dating a 15-year-old, what would it be, sophomore, is not bad. And the lolicons, the people that say, pixel, that shit, they'll be like, you're clearly advocating for pedophilia. Meanwhile, they'll look at, like, little children as anime blobs and get turned on by them, and they'll see nothing wrong with that. This is how the world's gonna work, or at least the internet side of the world. I feel like these people have essentially become the predators in a way, in more ways than one, actually. It used to be a point where people would hunt these people and just, they would just try to mind their own business in a way, right? Just looking at their little children CP or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the little pixel CP, little children pixel CP. And they would be all about like just minding their own business with that. And then it seemed like more of these, I'll be real down the middle, pretentious assholes that want to pretend like they want to defend children and shit. They'll come in and they would harass these people just for like the sake of, for the lulz basically, which, I can kind of understand that too. If you got a person that's exhibiting pedophilic like behaviors, maybe you want to do something about them. You know, maybe that little primal instinct inside of you, which is fine as well. Like, I can understand both perspectives. The only thing I can't understand is how the lolicons and the anime fans want to be so oblivious to the fact that regardless of whether it's pixels or art or whatever, it's still depicting a child. Now, I feel like we have a disconnect here because you guys can't process that, either because you're mentally ill at this point, or you're just coping or being disingenuous, which is fine. You know, everybody can be a little disingenuous. I mean, politicians is the biggest example here. But it's a very frustrating thing, and I want you to understand if you're a lolicon or a revsaysdesu fan, because he is the main cancer that allows these people to drive. If you really think about it, he's the one guy that will use the typical lolicon talking points, the same bullshit, and really a cancer that was also hyper inflated by people like Raging Golden Eagle, who made his mark in the anti-SJW scene. For some reason, these idiots, pseudo-intellectuals, want to go ahead with the notion that anti-SJWism and pedophilia can be meshed into one, or rather, yeah, well, pretty much that. And look, even my old mentor had a fucking hand in that bullshit because he is an anti-SJW YouTuber himself. A lot of these anti-SJW YouTubers had a hand in this shit, particularly in Weeb Wars, for mixing in the, oh, it's a defense, bro. Like, you know, you can be a lolicon, and it's okay because the only people that are telling you not to be one are the SJWs. You have no idea how many strawmans I see with otaku neets, you know, that just use that. And it's really fucking sad that they actually think that. I mean, there are, again, a lot of people that are guilty of indulging them in that. But primarily, the two top people would be revsaysdesu and Hirohei, more so Reb, because at the very least, Hirohei knows when to bow out and not talk about this shit. You can't say the same for Reb, who drives on this shit. Like, he will try any bit of propaganda to promote that being a lolicon and being into lolly is okay. Anything. Like, whether he has to use the strawmans of free speech, he has to use the strawmans of it's just a drawing, bro. It's just a really frustrating thing. And Reb isn't above using smear tactics himself to try to justify his means. And once again, you know, because lolicons and anime fans are mainly based on the whole feeling aspect of things, don't expect any real logic from them. Just expect them to act on their emotions and basically flag you, coordinated attacks, smear, and not living in reality. But also expect one other thing. And again, the biggest cancer of revsaysdesu, having the numbers game. See, the thing with Rev is that he's built a sanctuary of anime degenerate pedophiles. And he also masks himself. It's weird though, right? Because he masks himself as this hardcore, and a lot of the lolicons follow suit. See, a lot of the things Rev does, they follow suit with. That's why he's a cancer, because, you know, he is the guy that you emulate to get away with this bullshit. He is the guy that harbors these people and gives them a little safe haven. So, you know, cancer, right there, him. There you go, that's correlation. So he'll do all these stupid things, and then they'll follow suit. But it's, like, the funniest thing about that is being a victim while you try to act like a hard ass, right? So one of the main things that Rev does, and one of the main things that they do, they emulate it. You know, they see Big Daddy Reb, you know, do these things, and then they just emulate it. Like, they'll be like, oh, we're hardcore and badass, and we'll own you with faction logic, and then you end up, you know, breaking that little bubble, and then they'll resort to flagging you or playing victim. It's a really SJW tactic coming from the people they claim to be against and like SJWs in the first place. Doesn't make sense. Another reason why these people are fucking frustrating. But they'll always have the numbers. That's what you rely on the most on the internet, which fucking sucks too. Because there are more freaks on the internet than there are. And individually, they suck. They're horrible. They don't even have any power. Like, even Rev. There's a reason Rev doesn't debate. Rev can't debate in a live setting. Rev has to reduce himself to smear tactics, and the only real, if you get him, bait him into a BC, make sure you record that motherfucker. So that, make sure you do. And if he tries to sue you, counter sue him. Because I think that a judge should see all the fucking degenerate shit he does and see whether or not it's worth him suing you. I just think it'd be a perfect opportunity, personally. But the motherfucker is crazy. Like, this shit, one of the craziest hypocritical pieces of shit ever. He also, like, drives on this whole power trip, which is good because you can take advantage of it for yourself. See, I know that if Reb hears at least 1 minute of this video, he won't be able to resist. He's going to do the typical formula, which is the Reb cycle. He'll say, I'm above this, and this totally doesn't bother me. But let me show you how it totally doesn't bother me by acknowledging it and malding for fucking 5 minutes. He's done this before. He did it with Grimsy. He did it with a smaller channel with 100 fucking subscribers. Oh, yeah. Now, all you have to know is how to really make use of Reb. Because attention will be attention nonetheless. So if you can use Reb to your own benefit, you can make the best out of the plague that is revsaysdesu. Regardless, nothing will really change for him. Like, nothing will really affect him. I'm not expecting anybody to really come into this video and leave with a different interpretation of Reb to come onto my side. Because God knows I'm doing that wrong. I would have to try a much different approach to manipulate you in order to turn on Reb. And I don't really feel like doing that. But everything has a purpose. For me, for now, this is to hurt Reb's feelings a little bit. Get a little rile out of him if he can. Because I know he still has that ego. And if you're a fan of Reb, I want to know, what it is. I want to hear some of your thoughts. Indulge me. Indulge me in why you think he's the king that you guys claim he is. Because I can kind of understand it to an extent, again, because, he uses all the classic lolly talking points, right? He makes you feel like you shouldn't feel ashamed of your urges for these children. These weird, totally not real children. They're animated, guys. Whatever. Depictions of children. Whatever the fuck you want to get off on. He helps you with your smear tactics. He helps lead campaigns to flag people. So yeah, it makes sense why you guys would want to rally behind him. But I want to hear it personally from all of you, rather than me reach my own assumptions based off of observations I make. It could be educational assumptions and conclusions based off of what I see, again, based off of what you research. That's allowed to happen. Assumptions aren't really bad, inherently. The only pussies that say they're all bad is the ones that are trying to go ahead and, win an argument. I know about one, but he's a big, big pussy. Big, big pussy. Bigger than fucking Reb's fat girlfriend's pussy. Yeah, and she's a big girl, trust me. Fucking Strawberry? Oh, fucking hell. Strawberry is right. That fucking waistline, bro. It don't lie. Another thing that I know will get under Rev's skin is probably talking about this girl. Because that boy can't fucking help but be a little simp. I remember it all the way back, And I tried to understand him. I tried to be cool with him. I tried to do the YouTube network thing. Right? Ooh, slimy, Sen, you're so dishonest. I'd rather be dishonest in trying to be cordial with somebody, rather than being dishonest and saying that there's nothing wrong with getting off to MSCP, right, Reb? I don't know. That's just my thing. That may be a moral conflict between us. But overall, that's why I believe, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as to why revsaysdesu is the enabler of all bad things in anime, right? So I'll dub the title revsaysdesu is cancer, because it's a cute, cool, powerful title, and I'm just gonna do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are the thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, if you so please. If you want to maul, seethe, or cope, go for it. If you want to be like, I don't know, whatever, surprise me, I guess. Do the thing. And I'll see you all in the next one. There haven't been any real cases up until now. The last one will be the Quite one. And other than that, there hasn't been really been much. So, until that, not going to put on the lawyer suit just yet. For now, these are just open thoughts. So, again, for the 5th time, let me know how you feel about this in the comment section down below if it reaches your ears and if it makes you feel some type of way. Until next time, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. And remember, we live in a society. Ha ha ha, no. Ah, that was fucking bad. That's so bad.